a brilliant jewel suspended in the void.
In the cold, silent theater of low Earth orbit, a Titan sleeps. For 3 decades, it has been our steadfast sentinel, a glimmering outpost of human ingenuity. The International Space Station, it is more than a machine. It is a testament etched in titanium and solar arrays to what we can achieve when we look past our terrestrial disputes and gaze upward together. A consortium of nations, former rivals, built this cathedral of science in the void. Here, in the sterile quiet of its modules, we have unraveled the secrets of our own biology, forged exotic materials impossible on Earth, and kept a continuous human watch over our fragile blue home. It has been the sole address for humanity beyond the atmosphere, a singular point of light against the infinite dark. But even Titans age. The relentless vacuum, the extreme cycles of heat and cold, the microscopic impacts of cosmic dust, they have all taken their toll. The very structure of this magnificent creation is nearing its prescribed end. A day is coming, a day marked on calendars at NASA Roscosmos and ESA, when this monument will perform its final solemn maneuver. It will fire its thrusters one last time, not to climb higher, but to descend. It will surrender to the pull of the very gravity it was built to escape, blazing across the sky in a final fiery farewell, a man-made meteor streaking towards a watery grave in the most remote corner of the Pacific Ocean. When the last embers of the ISS vanish beneath the waves, what remains will be more than a memory. It will be a void, a profound, unnerving vacancy in the heavens where humanity used to live. For the first time in a generation, there will be no one looking down. The orbital pathways once traced by our most ambitious creation will fall silent. This impending emptiness presents a question that echoes through the halls of every space agency on the planet. What comes next? Must we retreat from this frontier we have fought so hard to hold? Or is this ending not a conclusion, but a catalyst for something altogether new, something bolder, something private? The sun is setting on an entire epoch of state-sponsored space exploration. And in the twilight, a revolution is stirring, preparing to ignite its engines. The great narrative of spaceflight has always been written by governments, funded by taxpayers, and crewed by a select few representing their nations. It was a story of superpowers, of geopolitical chess played out on a cosmic scale. The Apollo program was as much a product of the Cold War as it was of scientific curiosity. The space shuttle, for all its majesty, was a national asset. The ISS itself a symbol of post-Cold War détente, but the ground and the sky above it is shifting. A new breed of explorer has emerged, not from the cadres of military test pilots, but from the boardrooms of Silicon Valley and the workshops of relentless entrepreneurs. They saw that the path to the stars, once paved with national treasure, could be resurfaced with private investment and commercial ambition. The first tremors of this revolution were felt in the launch industry. For decades, getting to orbit was an astonishingly expensive, government-monopolized endeavor. Then a California-based company named SpaceX began landing its rockets back on Earth, turning what was once disposable hardware into reusable infrastructure. The cost to leave our planet plummeted. Suddenly, the heavens became accessible. This single innovation unlocked a future that had until then existed only in science fiction. It created the economic foundation upon which a new civilization in orbit could be built. It was the crack in the dam, and now the waters of commercial enterprise are rushing through, poised to reshape the entire landscape of human activity beyond our world. Into this new and dynamic arena steps a company with a vision so audacious it seems to challenge the very laws of biology. It is called VAST. And its founder, Jed McCaleb, is a figure not from the aerospace establishment, but from the disruptive world of digital technology. His career has been defined by creating foundational networks that changed how we share information and exchange value. Now he has turned his sights on the ultimate network, a permanent, thriving human ecosystem in space. VAST is not merely proposing another space station, another zero-gravity laboratory to replicate the function of the ISS. They are asking a far more fundamental question. If we are to truly live in space, not just visit, can we afford to leave a piece of Earth behind? Specifically, can we afford to leave behind the single most pervasive force that has shaped all life on this planet, gravity? For all its wonders, long-term life in zero-G is a brutal assault on the human body. We are creatures of gravity, our very biology forged over millions of years by its constant, unforgiving pull. Our bones are a marvel of engineering, constantly rebuilding themselves in response to the stress of carrying our own weight. In orbit with that stress removed, the body begins to deconstruct itself. Bones leach calcium, becoming brittle and weak, a condition akin to accelerated osteoporosis. Muscles no longer needing to fight gravity's embrace atrophy. The heart, a powerful pump designed to push blood upward against that pull, weakens. Even our vision is at risk as fluids shift within the skull, putting pressure on the optic nerve. Astronauts on the ISS must exercise for over 2 hours every single day, strapped to complex resistance machines just to slow this inexorable decay. They are fighting a losing battle against their own evolutionary programming. This physiological barrier is the great unspoken obstacle to our future in space. It is the invisible wall that stands between brief sojourns and permanent settlement. We can build habitats on the Moon and Mars, but how do we ensure the inhabitants remain healthy, strong, and capable of functioning, especially if they hope one day to return to a gravity? Well, VAST's answer is as elegant as it is ambitious. They intend to build the first commercial space station with artificial gravity. They are not just creating a place to work in space. They are designing a place to live, a habitat where human beings can thrive for years, even decades, without their bodies betraying them. This isn't an incremental improvement. It is a paradigm shift, a quantum leap in the concept of off-world habitation. To grasp the sheer elegance of their proposed solution, we need not delve into complex relativistic physics. Instead, imagine a simple, age-old experience. Picture a child's playground merry-go-round. When you stand at the center, you feel almost nothing as it spins. But as you walk towards the edge, you feel a force pulling you outwards. Your body wants to continue in a straight line, but the floor of the merry-go-round is constantly curving inwards, pushing against your feet. That pressure, that persistent force you feel under your soles, is for all intents and purposes a form of artificial gravity. Now imagine a far more sophisticated version of this concept. Picture a large cylindrical space station rotating gracefully on its axis like a cosmic wheel. For the inhabitants inside, the outer wall becomes their floor. The centrifugal force generated by the spin would press them against that surface, simulating the familiar weight they felt back on Earth. This idea, the spinning wheel in space, is not new. It has been a staple of science fiction for nearly a century, from the majestic Space Station 5 in 2001, a space odyssey, to the colossal O'Neill cylinders of speculative fiction. It has long been the dream, the theoretical solution to the problem of zero-G. Yet, it has never been attempted. The engineering challenges are staggering. How do you construct such a massive rotating structure in orbit? How do you create bearings that can withstand the stresses in a vacuum for decades without failing? How does a visiting spacecraft dock with a target that is perpetually spinning? These are the monumental questions that have relegated artificial gravity to the realm of fantasy. Until now. VAST believes that modern materials, advanced robotics, and the new economics of commercial launch have finally brought this dream within the grasp of reality. Their plan is a masterpiece of phased implementation, beginning with a single, crucial first step. It is a module named Haven 1. Slated to launch on a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket no later than 2025, Haven 1 will be the world's very first commercial space station. Initially, it will not spin. It will be a pathfinder, a solitary outpost designed to prove the core technologies of life support, power, and communications in a commercial package. It will be a destination for the first fully private crewed mission in history, called VAST 1, which will arrive aboard a SpaceX Dragon capsule. This initial crew of 4 private astronauts will spend up to 30 days aboard Haven 1, validating its systems and conducting research. This mission alone would be a landmark achievement, securing a human presence in orbit just as the ISS begins its final years. But Haven 1 is only the prologue. It is the seed from which a far grander structure will grow. The true genius of VAST's architecture lies in its modularity. Following the successful deployment of Haven 1, the company plans to launch a succession of additional modules. These will connect to the first, expanding the station piece by piece like a celestial construction set. And then the critical moment will arrive. With several modules linked together forming a long, rigid boom, the entire structure will be set into rotation. Thrusters will fire and the station will begin its slow, deliberate spin. Inside, the astronauts will feel a gentle tug, a gradual increase in weight as the rotation speed climbs. The sensation will grow until it is indistinguishable from the gravity of the Moon or perhaps Mars, and eventually a comfortable Earth-like 1G. The interior of such a station would be a surreal and wonderful environment. One could walk along a curved corridor where the floor is the station's outer hull and the sky is the central axis of the habitat. An elevator ride towards the center of the station would be a journey into diminishing gravity, allowing for the creation of laboratories and recreation areas with variable G or even zero-G conditions at the very hub. It would be the best of both worlds, a place to live in the comfort of Earth-like gravity and a place to work and research in the unique microgravity environment that has been so valuable aboard the ISS. It represents a complete reimagining of what an orbital habitat can be. No longer just a cramped laboratory, but a dynamic, multi-layered environment designed for long-term human flourishing. The dawn of this new orbital economy will be fueled by a diverse clientele. The primary and most immediate customer will be NASA itself. The agency has made a strategic decision to transition from being a landlord in low Earth orbit to becoming a tenant. Instead of owning and operating a multi-billion-dollar station, NASA will simply purchase services and lab time from commercial providers like VAST. This frees up the agency's immense budget and brainpower to focus on its core mission of deep space exploration, building the gateways, landers, and technologies needed for our return to the Moon and the first human missions to Mars. VAST Station will become a vital training ground, a place where astronauts can prepare for long-duration missions to other worlds in a simulated gravity environment that more closely matches their destination. But government agencies are just the beginning. The true revolution lies in the commercial markets that a permanent artificial gravity platform will unlock. Pharmaceutical companies will be able to grow purer protein crystals in microgravity, leading to breakthroughs in drug design for diseases like cancer and Alzheimer's. Materials scientists can forge new alloys and composites with properties unattainable on Earth, where gravity introduces imperfections. Manufacturers of Z-blan optical fiber can produce strands of glass so flawless in zero-G that they could revolutionize global telecommunications. Each of these industries represents a potential multi-billion-dollar market, and VAST will be providing the orbital factory floor. Furthermore, the station will serve as an in-space manufacturing hub and assembly point. Imagine massive structures like interplanetary spacecraft or deep space telescopes, too large and delicate to withstand the violent forces of a rocket launch from Earth. Instead, their components could be launched separately and assembled in the calm, controlled environment of the vast station's zero-G core. The station becomes a shipyard in the sky, a crucial piece of infrastructure enabling the next wave of exploration. It is the orbital equivalent of the coastal ports that enabled the age of discovery on Earth centuries ago. And then there is the human element in its purest form, the desire to see our world from a new perspective. Space tourism, once a niche market for a handful of billionaires, will become a more established industry. Vast station, with the added comfort and safety of artificial gravity, will be an unparalleled destination. It will offer not just a visit, but a chance to live for a time in a new and extraordinary way. This will bring artists, poets, filmmakers, and thinkers to orbit individuals who can translate the profound experience of seeing Earth from above into culture enriching our collective human consciousness. The station becomes not just a lab or a factory, but a cultural institution, a true embassy of humanity in the cosmos. This grand vision raises profound philosophical questions about our future. As we establish these commercial outposts, who owns the space around our planet? The Outer Space Treaty of 1967 declared space the province of all mankind, free from national appropriation. But it was written in an era when only superpowers could reach orbit. How do its principles apply to private property, commercial contracts, and corporate interests? We are entering a new legal and ethical frontier, one where we must draft the rulebook for a commercial civilization off-world. Will access to space be a democratizing force, or will it deepen the divide between the spacefaring and the earthbound? The decisions we make in the next decade, as stations like VAST's come online, will set the precedent for centuries to come. Life aboard this spinning world will redefine what it means to be an astronaut. The pioneers of this new era will not just be scientists and pilots, they will be welders, electricians, robotics technicians, doctors, and logistics managers. They will be the first blue-collar workers in space, the men and women who maintain the complex machinery of life in this new environment. Their daily reality will be a blend of the mundane and the magnificent. They will wake up, feel the familiar press of gravity as they get out of bed, drink their coffee, and walk to work. But their commute might be an elevator ride to a zero-G fabrication bay, and their office window will look out not on a cityscape, but on the swirling clouds and azure oceans of a planet hanging in the velvet blackness. They will be the first generation of true space dwellers, the vanguard of a multi-planetary humanity. Of course, the path from today's blueprint to a bustling orbital metropolis is fraught with peril. The challenges are as immense as the vision itself. The engineering of the rotating mechanism at this scale is entirely unprecedented. The immense torque and stresses on the central bearings will require new materials and designs. A catastrophic failure of the rotation system would be a mission-ending disaster. The software required to manage the station's attitude control while spinning and to facilitate the safe docking of visiting vehicles will be exponentially more complex than anything used for the static ISS. These are not trivial problems. Each one represents a mountain of technical difficulty that must be climbed. The financial risks are equally daunting. Building, launching, and operating a space station is one of an exclusive group of the most expensive undertakings in human history. VAST is backed by the considerable personal fortune of its founder, but even that may not be enough. The company is betting that the commercial markets for research, manufacturing, and tourism will materialize quickly enough to create a sustainable business model But what if those markets are slower to develop than anticipated? What if a launch failure destroys a critical module, setting the program back years and costing hundreds of millions of dollars? The financial margins are razor thin, and the chasm between ambition and bankruptcy is a constant threat. Moreover, VAST is not alone in this race. A host of other formidable companies are vying to fill the void left by the ISS. Axiom Space is already launching its own modules to attach to the International Space Station, which will later detach to form a new, independent commercial outpost. A powerful consortium, including Blue Origin and Sierra Space, is developing Orbital Reef, envisioned as a mixed-use business park in space. Each of these competitors has a different design philosophy, different strategic partnerships, and different sources of funding. The next decade will witness a fierce competition to become the dominant commercial platform in low Earth orbit. VAST is betting its entire future on a single game-changing differentiator, the promise of artificial gravity. It is a high-risk, high-reward strategy that will either redefine the future or become a footnote in the history of space exploration. Yet despite the colossal risks and the fierce competition, there is a palpable sense that we are on the cusp of a fundamental transformation. For 60 years, our journey into space has been a series of expeditions, brief forays into a hostile wilderness before a safe return to our terrestrial cradle. We have been visitors. The coming decade promises something different. It promises permanence. It promises the creation of a self-sustaining economic sphere beyond Earth, one that generates value not just for national prestige, but for the betterment of life on the planet's surface. This is the true meaning of the private orbit revolution. It is about graduating from exploration to settlement. Look to the night sky in the year 2030. The familiar, steady light of the International Space Station will be gone, a memory cherished by a generation that grew up with its constant presence. But in its place, if the visionaries at VAST succeed, you may see a new star, a bright spinning jewel tracing a confident path across the heavens. It will be more than a laboratory. It will be a destination, a factory, a shipyard, and a home. It will be a place where the force of gravity is not a cosmic constant, but an engineering variable you can dial up or down. It will be a testament not to the power of a nation, but to the audacity of private enterprise. This spinning wheel in the sky will be the first artifact of a new human age, the first city-state in the new territory of space. It will be the place where we learn the hard lessons of building a civilization off-world, the crucial stepping stone from which we will mount our expeditions to the Moon, to Mars, and to the worlds that lie beyond. The deorbiting of the ISS is not an end to our orbital ambitions. It is the necessary clearing of the stage for the next act in the human drama. A new sun is rising, not over the horizon of a planet, but over the horizon of possibility itself. And its light will illuminate a future where humanity's reach is no longer confined to a single world, but extends permanently into the vast, silent, and beckoning expanse of the cosmos. The revolution is here.
Among the stars, proving that for humanity, this is only the beginning.